Watu walichaguliwa wakiwa wawili. So kama ni kwenda nyumbani waende wote, lakini mimi nilikuwa ninaona sababu saa hizi tukisema ati huyu aende nyumbani huyu asibaki, sisi tutapata shida. Hao watu kama tunaweza pata mediator, hao watu wakae chini wajaribu kusolve tofauti yao, itakuwa mzuri.
Hii kukosana yao ni kwa ajili ya kutogawana rasilimali ya Kenya kwa usawa. Ninajua kuna wale ambao wanataka kuibia Kenya na venye walitaka kuibia Kenya, lakini ugawi wa rasilimali ikawa ni tofauti. Sasa ikawa wamelemea mtu mmoja aende nyumbani. Lakini mimi nasema hivi, hawa watu wote wangeenda nyumbani sababu uongozi wa Kenya umedhoofika zaidi. Hawa watu wote wangeenda tu nyumbani.
Wingi wa watu tumesema ya kwamba watu walichaguliwa wawili. Kwa hivyo wote waende nyumbani. Nataka election ianze kuanzia mpaka chini. Kwa sababu hakuna mtu anasema huyu wangu ni mzuri, huyu wangu ni mbaya. Kila mtu anatetea mtu wake. Hata wabunge si wazuri, hata MCA si wazuri, hata huyu hao marais na si wazuri. Kama wameamua ni election, hakuna kuimpeach, election ifanyike tu kuanzia juu mpaka chini.
Raila kwenda kwa Ruto, haezi patia Ruto kura yoyote kama yenye Central ilimpatia. Wana Central ni wa Kenya. Wakijita wana mlima pia ni wa Kenya. Gachagua anatetea watu wao. Mbona Musalia Mudavadi asikuja kutetea watu wa Western? Mbona tangu na sema kutetea watu wa huko? Mtu ambaye alikuwa anatetea hapa ni Cleophas Malala, Musalia alifinya. Watangu akafinya. Sasa Gachagua huyu ameambia Ruto ground asikize ground ni mbaya. Wanasema Gachagua ni mkabila. Sisi tunasema hivi, kama Gachagua ataenda, Ruto unajidunga kidole. Kama Gachagua utaenda, Ruto umewekewa mtego na watu wa Azimio. Nao wako chini ya maneno. Wameshindwa kutoa. Wanataka Gachagua akienda ndio watapata njia ya kufanya nini? Ya kukumalizia.
Wembe ule Ruto alikuwa anatumia kunyoa nayo Uhuru, ndio hiyo wembe inatumika kwake saa hii. Na nataka niseme isifike, ndio wao wanasema ni heri mwisho wa jambo kuliko mwanzo. Mwanzo kweli Gachagua alionekana akiwa na ukabila kidogo, si ni kweli? Lakini ikafika mahali ile kitu inafanya Gachagua kusulubiwa ni hii. Wakati Gachagua anaambia Ruto mara kwa mara, soma ground, soma mood ya wananchi, wananchi wanataka nini, hiyo ndio inafanya waone ya kwamba Gachagua ni mbaya.
Na kwa habari ya kutimuliwa kwa Gachagua, mimi kama George niko na maoni tofauti sana. Mimi siungi serikali iliyopo mkono kwa kusema Gachagua atimuliwe kwa mambo ambayo yamewekelewa, ambayo yametamkwa kumuhusu. Mtu wa kwanza ambaye angelifaa kujiweka katika orodha ya kutimuliwa ni Mheshimiwa Rais Ruto mwenyewe. Jinsi amepanga serikali. Wanaposema Gachagua ni mfisadi, Gachagua ni mkabila, basi Ruto ni mkabila kuliko mtu yote Kenya. Ma-PS wote amewekea mawaziri ni wakale. Sasa mimi nashangaa kama ni mtu wa kuenda, si ni Ruto akwe wa kwanza jamani?
Our opinion of course jamata. In all opinion polls inaonyeshwa mind ya wananchi iko wapi, na iko very parallel to what our representatives wanaonyesha ama wabunge wetu. Kwa hivyo mi hata nikiongelea kuhusu ubanduzi wa naibu wa rais, I know it's their script, they know what's going to happen, na hata opinion yangu sahi haimata. Mi chenye najua ni kama rais anabandua naibu wake, aanguke nayo, abanduke na pamoja na yeye, sababu kama ni ofisi ya naibu rais imefeli, kumaanisha ile ambayo iko juu ya uongozi ni ya rais.
Kenyans understand.
That is the voice of residents of Kakamega putting up their minds, or rather their opinions, on the impeachment of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, Imenti Central Member of Parliament Moses Kirima has spilled the beans on why they voted yes in the National Assembly to impeach the Deputy President. And according to Moses Sirma, in a statement that is really shocking, the legislator is saying that President Ruto told them that they voted yes to initiate the impeachment against the deputy president because Ruto had confirmed to them that Kindiki, who is coming from Tharaka Nithi, would be the deputy president to take over from Gachagua. So according to this member of parliament, and I'm going to play for you that soundbite, that member of parliament is trying to tell the country that the 11 grounds, the 11 shoddy, flimsy grounds that the state operatives cooked so that they can plot impeachment against the deputy president was part of the wider script just to chase the DP. But even as an MP, he did not believe on those charges, but only voted yes to impeach the DP because Kindiki was going to be the deputy president. Ironically, these are the MPs that were in parliament telling the country that Rigathi Gachagua is a tribal leader who is just talking about Mulima. But now an MP is saying in full glare of camera that he voted to impeach the deputy president because his tribesman was going to be taken as the deputy. I've listened to that soundbite, and he is also saying that what has raised the concern is that to them they knew as MPs from the eastern part of Gema that the discussion on who was to be the deputy was already put on closure, and unlike that thinking, now the President Ruto opened the window for intensive lobbying that is going on currently on who is going to take over from Rigathi Gachagua. And one of the names that is really mentioned is Anne Waiguru. Anne Waiguru, according to reports, is amongst the two names, Anne Waiguru, that are lined up to become the deputy president. And some political pundits have raised concerns around that. I want us to listen to Moses Skirima. Then we'll come back. We'll try to delve a bit on Anne Waiguru emerging as a front runner in this.
We believed as Meru MPs that number 2 is supposed to take that place of number 1. So we signed on strength that Kindiki is going to be appointed as NDP. But from the time we passed that impeachment, things are not as they were. There is a lot of lobbying from various sectors of societies. A number of tribes, communities are lobbying to have their own, to be number 2. I'm concerned because you see now, we are hearing of somebody like Irongo Kangata. They're even calling us, they're robbing us to support them. There is also a majority leader, Kimani Ichung'wah. There is Anne Waiguru, the women caucus of governors. They are up in arms, saying that according to the speech of William Ruto, president, he promised them that the next deputy president will be the woman, will be a woman. They are also mentioning Grandes Wanga, and also sometimes they even bring the name of Raila Odinga in the scene. So when they bring all those things in Meru, that's what we say, Mambura ya kuya nyenje. Mambura ya kuya nyenje is not straightforward as it was. So I'm so much concerned that there are those other players who have come in the scene. See? So it shouldn't be as that rumors and as it was at that time, because he was number 2. Let's number 2 take from number 1, because number 1 has been impeached as the deputy president. More than that, when Kindiki is down here, like Central Menti, all the rivers which we have froze to his place, Tharaka, where he comes from. He knows the problem we have about electricity, about drones and so on. It's not somebody whom I'm going to call and explain. It's somebody who won't be even knowing by the time I tell him that there's a problem here, he already know. So to me, it will be a great advantage. I want to insist on that one shouldn't be repeated. There is no time when William Ruto called us and told us to impeach Gachagua. It is a change sheet which, it was the changes which were in the parliament. But I have seen it that you people, you are trying to coin it and make it that it's William Ruto who told us. He did not. He did not tell us. We have our own brains. We have our own consciousness. And by the time I was saying that Gachagua will not be impeached, I wanted to be remembered. I had no idea, and I didn't have that rumor that it's Kindiki who is supposed to be the deputy president. If it's not Kindiki, me, I could not have voted out Gachagua. Our wish, the moment I start thinking the opposite, it means it's like a prayer that should not be appointed. It should not be political.
Now that is your member of parliament. There is a member of parliament who was in parliament and was convincing this country that the deputy president is the most tribal leader that they've ever seen since Kenya Kwanza came into administration. Of course, the deputy president was on the fault to publicly make utterances that would show the country that he only thinks about Mount Kenya. And this is because he comes from that. And of course, with the state of the office of the vice president, the deputy president, he's part of the presidency, which is supposed to foster the national unity. But of course, these utterances have to be put into context. And when you put them into context, you realize that they were all serving political expediency on behalf of the president, or rather on behalf of the Kenya Kwanza battalion. And Waiguru is leading. And now there's something you realize from this, that MPs have now started bringing all manner of excuses why they voted to impeach the deputy president, just after they realized that the county, or rather the ground, is very hostile. Remember last weekend on Sunday, just this weekend in Meru on Sunday, the president could not attend the church service in Embu. And that last Sunday, that was simply because the ground was very hostile. A number of UDA members of parliament have been trying to go public, and they found hostile reception from a section of the UDA supporters who are saying William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua's term was supposed to be 5 years. So they did not authorize, or rather they don't accept the move to impeach the deputy president. So MPs have started telling us reasons. And I can tell you, by the time we'll be getting to 2027, we shall know all manner, every reason. And remember, there was something that President called these MPs the day they were supposed to go to parliament, each one of them. And of course, I understand, one point is there, someone was told, I'll pick you. Some people was told, there was another story that women leaders were told that because they had promised that the next deputy will be Waiguru, they will go for it. Now, I think Waiguru, according to me, will be the last person even to appear in that list. I don't understand, and I agree with Ledama Olekina. Ledama Olekina is asking, a governor who was a CEO of a county, how would a governor who was in charge of running a county leave a county executive, leave such a county job to become a deputy president, which is just to deputize the president? While some political circles will want to look at it as a promotion, but in real sense, does it mean that the president, does it mean that he has to leave that position? Does it mean that in that place they now have to go for a by-election? Why would we occasion a by-election at the time the country is struggling? And the other issue, I know why Waiguru is here. William Ruto is facing a lot of backlash from the DP impeachment. And so he has two options. The Waiguru thinking is on table, and I'm seeing a lot of lobbying by Waiguru social media team, really lobbying, and there are a lot of posts and bloggers talking about Waiguru. And compared to Kindiki, if you look at their profile of who Waiguru is, what he has done in Kirinyaga and this and that, there is a lot going on to explain to the country who is Anne Waiguru. I don't think those posters will do enough to convince this country that Anne Waiguru was a minister in charge of devolution, and during her tenure, NYS lost billions. And that money, that case was riddled with a lot of withdrawals and accusations and it died some. And the same president here, William Ruto, is the person who went live on camera and told Kenyans that Anne Waiguru should not be catwalking and telling us big English while Kenyan money is lost. So outrightly, it's not something that you can take. And even at the county government, I think it will just be fine to finish her term. And if she's to be considered, it should be considered later. But to me, if you ask me, Anne Waiguru is not one of the boxes I would actually go for. Now, if Rigathi Gachagua is picked, if Rigathi Gachagua is dropped, is impeached by the Senate and has to leave office, I'll give you my thinking on probably things that William would have thought about. But he knows. So, you pick Waiguru to excite leaders, to excite women leaders across the country, and I'll say, because that is what was happening when Nani was supposed to be picked. And I think when you pick Waiguru, probably is supposed to deflate Martha Karua, who might emerge. And Ruto also realizes that Kirinyaga is one of the hardest counties to crack. Kirinyaga women rep, Kirinyaga senator, Kirinyaga MPs, a majority of them have actually been supporting Rigathi Gachagua. Now, this complaint by Moses Sirma, I can see some few factors there. Number one, Moses Sirma has been sent. It could be that he's been sent. And will be the sender, Kithure Kindiki. That's number one. It could be Kithure Kindiki has realized things that are going on. The second thing, there could be other promises that these MPs were given. He's just said one. He's just said that they impeached the deputy president so that Kindiki will be made, and Kindiki comes from that side, and so they had to front. So regardless of the grounds, of evidence about the grounds, they just had to. So there are some promises that were on top of that. Maybe with the time we will be told. Thirdly, and most probably, William Ruto opened the window of lobbying for the deputy president slot because he doesn't have an obvious choice. And that obvious choice was supposed to be Kithure Kindiki. Remember, the whole impeachment was preceded. It was preceded by a month of lobbying, MPs calling Embu Declaration, Nyandaro Declaration, MCS. So really, from an UDA kitchen, from a UDA perspective, it was not going to be magical science for someone to understand that the president and his team seem to have settled on Kithure Kindiki. I tried to put this question to a couple of some parliamentary journalists. And one thing coming out is, just like, if you listened over the weekend, Irungu Kangata said he's now occupied with Moranga, and that's why he's going to put his premium. And outwardly, he's saying that is a place of the president to choose, but he's not in it. I told you, Ndindi Nyoro, there are multiple reports that is not being, in fact, now things are going on, he's not part of that discussion, and he's not in the list, the short list of two. It's only Kindiki and Anne Waiguru. And lastly, there is a high probability, and there's also another report that has been coming, that Kithure Kindiki is a bit lukewarm on taking that cabinet, on taking that position. So why would Kindiki be lukewarm on taking over the Rigathi Gachagua's, putting Rigathi Gachagua's shoes? First, to speak the truth, I know Rigathi have the tribal tag, and MPs were subjected to some voting, and MPs voted to support Kindiki to be the deputy president. I can tell you for sure, by that time, William Ruto himself, when the lobbying was going on, he lobbied for Kindiki. If William Ruto would have lobbied for Rigathi and the people, because one thing I know is that these MPs, these leaders are not just controlled. They do what the president wants. For example, now, if the president now says, we are going to lobby so that we pick Mutahi Kahiga as the deputy president, they will follow, even if they don't agree with it. MPs don't question. They'll just follow it. And sometimes that bit of blind following has costed quite some of them. Now, there is another clause, and there is a question that was asked by a very big political analyst, and I want to ask it for you. I've seen Otiende Amolo, part of the legal team that is going to represent Parliament to take the case against Rigathi in Senate. Otiende Amolo. Otiende Amolo is a seasoned lawyer that has handled such cases, and Otiende Amolo is also a senior ranking member of ODM party. ODM party voted overwhelmingly to impeach the deputy president Rigathi Gachagua. Someone asked me, what was in it for Raila Odinga? And ODM should not lie to you that we left our members to decide. They are lying about it, if I'm not wrong. ODM party had very boardroom control on how the MPs were going to interact with the Rigathi Gachagua impeachment. And they arrived at a decision that they were going to support that impeachment. At what cost? Do you think they just support? If you are gullible enough to think it's because of pushing the good governance, probably you don't live in this country. That is not how our politics are. Our politics are remote controlled. So, Kindiki declined. What are the stakes in this why Kindiki would cast a doubt on his chance to become the deputy president? First, someone was saying that ODM was promised that Ruto would pick someone from the cabinet, or rather that would occasion a cabinet reshuffle. They will pick someone from the cabinet, and if someone is picked from the cabinet, then ODM party or Raila Odinga will be given the chance to pick whoever will talk over that position. That will be it. Is it Joho? Is it Wandai? Is it Joho? Is it Wanja and I? Is it Kindiki? So probably these are some of the things. These are things that cannot be, sometimes may not be told to the MPs, because Raila doesn't need to instruct MPs that vote this way so that we get this. Probably that is not how it is done. But in politics, there are a lot of interest. Is it an exchange of give you this, then I'll get this and get this back? Now, why Kindiki will cast a doubt on his chance to become the DP? I'm seeing some four probabilities. Number one, the predictability of the process would actually cause more anger. You know, this process has been so predictable in the manner that, just like what that MP is saying, the MPs will not see that the reason why we are removing Kindiki Rigathi is because of these cases. They will see because Kindiki wants to be the DP. And some voters in Mount Kenya, when things become rough in Mount Kenya, they will turn against Kindiki and say, probably we ejected Nani because of you. And in fact, even if Kindiki is picked, those MPs, what Ruto wants, it doesn't want the MPs to coalesce around some axis. You know, that's also one thing Rigathi had. Rigathi had a number around him. If you look at Kindiki does not have MPs coalescing around him. Probably the Meru and Tharaka, some few there. But that doesn't have. So, predictability of the process, you will also doubt it. Number two, Mount Kenya East and West politics is very hot when Kindiki is picked. Will he be able to consolidate Kiambu, Murang'a, Nyeri, Kirinyaga? Unlike Rigathi, who penetrated Meru, and Rigathi had a lot of support in Meru. On the other side, Meru and Embu. In fact, the first year of Kenya Kwanza, Ruto and Rigathi spent more time in Embu and Meru. When they visited Mount Kenya, they would go to Embu and Meru. So there is a question of the Mount Kenya East and West politics, because the division is there. Is Kindiki going to create the unity access that is needed, or is still just going to advance the division? Three, the future of Ruto presidency beyond 2027 is not very clear. The potency of the presidency is not very clear. Most importantly, if you take up this position and you're not even picked as the running mate in 2027, I said this against Ndini Nyoro, that will also be a factor, and security of tenure. If the numbers can be marshaled to impeach one of the most powerful a man with a lot of money like Kindiki, how about like Rigathi, how about Kindiki? So the security of tenure would also create some fear on Kindiki's camp. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the MPs are finding it tough and rough to defend their decision to support impeachment of the deputy president. And if you want to find it that way, listen to one of the politicians I don't really appreciate, Sudi. He did a video just seated somewhere running some Spain narrative propaganda on the tired narrative of Rigathi wanted to impeach the deputy president, the presidency, and the matter of speaking about Mulima. And even people who normally don't go to parliament. Listen to Sudi.
Najua Wakenya wengi wanajiuliza maswali kwa sababu hawajapata kujua vizuri nini inaendelea kwa imani na impeachment. Nataka niwaambie Wakenya, mlichagua wajumbe wa wawakilishi katika taifa la Kenya. Be patient. We'll explain for you one by one after we have done with our work. So please, I want to urge all Kenyans to be patient, to be calm. For once, believe in us, because we are not mad. More than 280 MPs versus 349. We are not mad. What I want to tell you, just be patient. And what we are doing, it is for the country, and it is good for the country. After these old things, I see some people that are sponsoring others to say, oh, Ruto must go, you what? That's not a problem. We have to secure our country first. Hiyo yote inaendelea hapo na kukua sponsor ni kama ile agency. Agency walifanya kazi yao siku ya kwanza. Wiki ya pili ilikuwa kubadilisha serikali. Na tutawaambia kila kitu pole pole. Number 2. Haiwezekani tena. Na hii ninasema kabisa kutoka kwa roho yangu. Haiwezekani tena mtu mmoja kusukuma jamii moja kwa ukuta against the Kenyans. That one will not happen again. Unajua watu wadogo na watu wengine very selfish hawakuona what happened 2007 2008. Na ndio mimi nasimamanga kila siku nawaambia, tafadhali tuwache ukabila. Hauwezi ukasukuma jamii moja kwa ukuta. OCC against the other Kenyans. We will get rid of you because wewe ni adui mkubwa sana wa nchi. Na hii mambo yote tutawaambia. Tulijaribu kumuongelesha, tumejaribu kuongelesha kama kiongozi, na mambo mingi kwa hapo ndani. So whatever takes, we must get rid of our deputy. Tuko na watu wengi kutoka hiyo mlima inasema izuguse mlima, sijui mlima, tukilala mlima, tukiamuka mlima, tukiamuka fitina, tukiamuka sijui nini. Wewe ni kiongozi umechaguliwa, badala ukuje upande wa uongozi na upange uongozi umeruka upande wa raia, kwanza kulia na raia. That one will not happen. Hata uchochee kiasi gani, uzuri, ukweli na uongo itaridhika siku moja. So we don't have to worry. Mimi as one person Sudi, sitaleta shida katika inchi na mninyamazie. Mtu mmoja pia asilete shida. Hatuwezi kuwa wazimu sisi wote, wale wengine wote, alafu mtu mmoja anaweza kuwa anajua. Please, I want to urge Kenyans, relax, tuliseni boli. Hii mambo ni ya viongozi na itaisha na mtajua ukweli, na hii Kenya lazima iendelee. That's what I want to say.
Soon is the last to speak about these things. You know, I wonder, when there are some critical bills to be discussed, you cannot see the likes of Sudi in parliament. They cannot do, even when like currently, education funded model is a discussion going on. We even have the issue of SHA. We even have the issue of Adani. Those ones, they can't have a constructive thing to say. But when such an emotive thing and some very petty plan like impeaching the deputy president, you see Sudi shooting a video in the comfort of his house, talking about how he wanted to impeach, he wanted to remove the president. This thing is tired. And one of the most disappointing thing about this is, amongst those charges, this one of Ruto Rigathi wanted to impeach the president, to remove the president, is not even there. It is the weakest of all. You have the state machinery, you have everything, you have the police, you have the NIS, you have the intelligence, you have the DCI. Then you want to tell this country that you failed to arrest those who were planning it. Even if it was regarded, then how about the others? Sometimes in this country, we are so occupied with things that to me do not even make a lot of sense. Now, and this is the real Sudi. There is a lawyer, Kibu Mugai, who was explaining about Sudi. I want you to listen to his point here. So I am seeing senators saying that the upper house, parliamentarians are fumbling with what to say. Some have started saying we impeached him, not because of those grounds, but because Kindiki was supposed to be the president. I don't know what Nyanza people are going to say. Some will say, we were told we impeach him so that we get development. So if you don't get development, what happens? I don't know, my MP voted yes, some are turning. I don't know what he will tell, what he will say. The next day, they will rise and say, we voted, it was about this, it was about that. MPs are already fumbling, and Senate seem to have held this ground that we want justice. Even NCAC have said this regarding impeachment is a threat to national unity. So the senators must do the right thing and justice for that case. Both statement that I've seen Khalwali and I think Chararga are talking about. So that is it. They have to remain within the confines of the law and do justice to the case. In fact, I can tell you the way MPs are fumbling with all this discussion of regarding impeachment, the Senate have a big impact on the National Assembly. And let me tell you, if the Senate disapproves the impeachment case that is being tabled by MPs, then I can tell you that Kenyans will see the parliamentarians as legislators just under Ruto's arm that lack independence and just serving at Ruto's mercy. In fact, the unsubstantiated reports of MPs who are bribed will hold ground. I've seen quite a number of MPs shouting and marveling the way they have evidence. They better have. In fact, they better have evidence. Because if they don't have evidence, then they are going to find it very rough. They're going to find it very difficult because Kenyans are going to expose them and look at what are they saying. Is what they're saying making sense? The other issue is the public utterances of Rigathi Gachagua on what they did in parliament. What parliamentarians did was mob justice. And that will hold. That they were just out to lynch Rigathi unceremoniously. I think they messed with the finance bill. They plunged this country into a crisis. At a time, the country needed sovereignty. It is the same situation that even Senate is. The country needs sober men and women that will rise above partisan politics and look at matters on table with objectivity, fairness, and justice needed. So that if Rigathi Gachagua is going home, he should go with a lot of doubt that indeed he is not fit to continue serving as the deputy president, and his exit is going to show some reprieve to the country. In fact, if we impeach Rigathi tomorrow, and the next day you're still talking about Adani, and the next day things are still just tough, the public would actually revolt more. Lastly, Moses Wetangula and Gladys Sholay will become clearly people that were bipartisan. Yes, it will come clearly. Remember, that is one of the claims. They took stand, and I'm seeing even the king, even Kingi is not different. Even Kingi seems to be treading that path. He's now saying that they will impeach Rigathi whether court issues an injunction or not. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my take. Let's meet in the next. Why do you think the MPs are fumbling to defend their decision to impeach the deputy president? I want to read your feedback, and thank you very much for supporting this podcast.